All right, I want you to picture this scenario. So let's say you have a son or daughter going into high school and they come up to you and they say, Dad, I need some lunch money. Can I have about $30 a week so I could buy lunch? It's about $6 a day. And you say, sure, no problem. Here you go, son. Here's 30 bucks. That'll get you lunch for the week. Then the next year comes around and your son or daughter comes up to you and says, hey, I need 40 bucks for lunch. I know I took 30 last year, but I need 40 bucks a week for lunch because, the prices have gone up and I want to get a little snack. So can I have 40? Sure, son. Sure, daughter. Here you go. Here's 40 bucks. She'll get you through the week. So now they're in their third year of high school and they come up to you and they say, hey, Dad, can I have 60 bucks a week for lunch? I know, last year was 40 and the year before was 30, but, the prices have gone up and I want to get a snack and, actually, Jim, I want to get his lunch maybe 1 or 2 days a week. So, at what point do you start asking yourself, all right, well, this is getting a little bit irresponsible. Okay, at what point, just a year and a half ago or a year ago, 30 bucks got you through the week to get lunch, and now you need 60. This is exactly what's happening with the US government and the debt ceiling. We're a few weeks away from reaching the debt ceiling and something has to give. So just to give you a quick breakdown of what the debt ceiling is and how that impacts you as a US citizen. So the US debt ceiling, it's also called the debt limit. It's a cap on the total amount of money that the federal government is authorized to borrow via US treasuries, such as bills and savings bonds to fulfill its obligations. Because the US runs on deficits, it must borrow huge amounts of money to pay its bills. So when we talk about borrowing money, we're essentially meaning printing money. So the government needs to print money to pay its bills and it just can't keep up. Besides printing money, it uses tax revenue that comes in to pay these bills. So what's at stake if we reach this debt ceiling? What happens next? So once the government exhausts all of its extraordinary measures and runs out of cash, and it would be unable to issue new debt and pay its bills, the government could end up defaulting on its debt if it's unable to make its payment to bondholders. Such a scenario would be economically devastating and plunge the globe into a financial crisis. So we are set to reach the debt limit ceiling by the 1st of June. That means by June 1st, the government may not be able to pay its bills. So the House of Representatives, the Senate, they're trying to come up with a resolution. And to be honest with you, it's all a bunch of bullshit because it's all politics. What happened about a week ago is the House, which is run by the majority Republicans, passed a bill a week ago they agreed to raise the debt ceiling for 1 year, and in exchange, they wanted the Democrats and the Senate to cut US spending 14% per year over the next 10 years. So what they're saying is the debt is out of control. We're spending way more money than we have coming in, and we're going to continually keep going into debt. We're going to need more and more money to pay our bills. And at some point, you got to get out of this hole. You have to. So they passed a bill. They wanted huge cuts to spending. They wanted a lot of the stuff that President Biden passed over the last year, a lot of the spending to be cut back. Okay. So the Republicans in the House, when they passed this bill, they knew themselves that the Democrats were never going to agree to this. And the Democrats came out and said, hey, we're not going to agree to this. This is never going to pass. Even Biden came out and said, hey, we're not negotiating on this. We need to raise the debt ceiling and we don't want to make any concessions. We don't want to cut spending. So again, this is a huge problem. And why is it a problem? And how does it even affect you? Okay, this might seem like a problem that's very far removed from you and I, but here's why it matters. As we continue to go into more debt, as we spend more money as a country, what are we spending money on? So for example, over the past year, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars helping Ukraine fight a war. And of course, many, many other bills. That's just one tip of the iceberg of things we're spending money on every year. So as we spend more money and we don't have more money coming in, the only way to pay all of these bills and pay for all this stuff is to print money. And what's the problem that we've all been experiencing over the last 2 years? Inflation. As you print more money, as you raise the debt ceiling, you have higher inflation. The more inflation you have, your dollar doesn't go as long. The other option to keep up with all of these bills, raise taxes. Tax money is used to pay a lot of this stuff, and those are the only two options that the government has to pay its bills. So inflation, raising taxes, and both of those things, what do those do? That's taking money out of your and I's pocket. If we raise taxes and we have more inflation, we're never going to get out of this hole. So this is something that we have to keep an eye on. We're less than a month from reaching the debt ceiling. This is very, very important. Tomorrow, we have the Fed meeting. Everyone's expecting a 0.25% raise in rates to combat inflation, even with the banking crisis we have going on, even with First Republic Bank being taken over by the FDIC and sold to JP Morgan Chase. They still want to raise rates. A lot of people think they've gone too far. Like, enough is enough. We don't need to raise rates anymore. I'm personally okay with it. I think we need to nip this inflation issue in the bud, put it behind us, get it down to 2%, move on to a better environment financially. So please, if you find any value, subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys on the next video.